Yeah, good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this another edition of a Google Plus Hangout for Channels Beam. I'm Victor Matthias, and today we're looking at the fight against corruption of the federal government, vis-a-vis the whistleblower policy and also the recoveries that have been made by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. When they've made so much recoveries in terms of monies here and there due to the whistleblower policy. But then there's been a back and forth as to how effective this has been, as to how true or how to the letter this has been followed. However, joining me to look at some of these or clear the air on some of these insinuations, we have Abu Siddiq. Abu, good day, and thank you for joining us on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. We also have Deji Adeyanju. Deji, also thank you for joining us on the program today.
Thank you, Victor, for having me.
And then we also have Henry Okeliwe. Henry, thank you as well for coming on the program.
Yeah, thanks, Victor, for having me again on your show.
Of course. The three of you are joining us from Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory. Henry, if you can just move your phone if you can just move your phone a bit.
Away from me or towards me?
Away from you, because they're going to lean back here, so we can have. Okay, this is a lot better. All right, Abu, let me start with you. First and foremost, let's look at the federal government's whistleblower policy. To what extent would you say that has been effective since its introduction?
Well, I think it has been very effective because we can see that because of the policy, so many recoveries have been made. Most of the recoveries that have been made of late are as a result of whistleblowing. So I can say that it has been largely effective. However, there's room for more. There's room for the policy to be strengthened.
All right, you said there's room for the policy to be strengthened. I'll come back to you to get more on that. Let me also get your own take on how effective this policy has been so far. Hold on a minute, please. All right, go ahead.
Yes, for me, Victor, I think the policy has been effective. I must commend the federal government and the EFCC for that. And it's a policy that will work, because even me now, if I see someone that has money and I know I can get a commission, I will blow. You understand? Because it's just the right way to go. Commend the federal government for the policy.
All right, very well. So you're more of looking at the commission, but I'll come back to you also on that. And let me also get Henry's perspective on this policy that was introduced by the federal government some time back.
As far as I'm concerned, I am indifferent to the policy. What's important to me is how far has the government used every resource, every avenue available to it to be able to identify those who have senselessly looted our commonwealth, to retrieve this loot from them, and if need be, to prosecute these people to serve as a deterrent to others. Whether the whistleblowing policy has worked or it has not really of much concern to me. It is the outcome, which I would love to eventually see how effective and how far-reaching it gets.
All right, very well. Let me just ask again. So how effective would you say it has been in the fight against corruption? I mean, which is one of the key campaign promises of the current administration. How far-reaching would you say, or how?
You know why I would not be able to say if it has been effective or if it has been far-reaching or not? Because up until now, we have not been given the full details of how some of these busts have happened. We don't know which of them came as a result of someone blowing the whistle, or which of them came out of EFCC actually carrying out investigation and being able to join dots. Till the EFCC can come out and say, oh, out of the 40 busts we have made, 30 or 20 of them have been due to people giving us tip-offs, then we might be able to measure how effective or not. But now we are working with very little information, and the EFCC is not being very forthcoming with that information.
All right, very well. Digi, let me just come back to you. We're looking at the issue of like Henry is saying, there's been little information as to what led to which burst or which arrest or which discovery. But is that really important so far as, as like they say, the end justifies the means? Is that really important so far the progress has been made in the fight against corruption?
No, that's, for me, that's not really the issue. The issue is, is the EFCC working? Are those who looted the Commonwealth of this country, who were appointed into office and they misused their office to loot resources, are they being arrested and prosecuted? Are they standing trial? Is the EFCC, is the whistleblowing thing working? How effective is it? And are there ways that it can be, improved upon? For me, those are the key issues, because I see that the whistleblowing thing is a good one. You understand? The main things that concern me, about whistleblowing. For instance, we take some of the key issues, the burning issues of, I think, about the $50 million, which has become a great controversy. So I asked myself, there seems to be a cover-up. Those are the issues that are important to me. Why is the present government trying to cover up the issue? It looks like maybe it's money that they were housed for, maybe something, and the EFCC was not aware. The NIA DG has come and claim ownership of the money. So it looks fishy. For me, those are the most important. Those are the questions Nigerians are really asking at the moment. So I do not care, really care how EFCC goes about recovering money. We want monies that have been looted to be recovered. So it's a very simple issue. It doesn't really matter how they go about doing it. If somebody, can keep $50 million in his house, or if somebody can keep $9.8 million in a hut in Kaduna, EFCC should go after the money, get the money, and prosecute such people. You understand? We need somebody prosecuted for the money that was recovered in the Ikoyi apartment. We need a name. Those are what is important, not whether, yes, the whistleblowing thing is a commendable thing. But there are burning issues about monies being recovered by EFCC. We want to know, in particular, who owns this money that was discovered in Ikoyi. You can't tell me that you keep $50 million for covert operation. What kind of covert operation is that? Do they want to overthrow the government? Are they planning a coup? So the EFCC needs to come out, because the EFCC has not come out to tell us that this money that was recovered in Ikoyi, this was our investigation, this was what led to it. So we need the EFCC to come open. We need answers. We need to have an owner who owns the money, not this cock and bullshit story you're telling us about NIA. Because that won't fly. The normal person in the street in Balogun market does not believe that. So those are the main issues, Victor.
All right, very well. Abu, so you talked about the policy being made better. So Henry actually talked about him not really being concerned about how it's gone, but he just wants the EFCC to just get the work done. DG is saying another thing. He's saying he is alleging that there is some form of a cover-up. But then you made mention of the policy being made better. What do you think, or how do you think this could have been made better?
Well, I said so because I have not really seen there's really been no definition of what the policy is meant to achieve. The last three recoveries that have been made, we were told, blowing, but no names were attached to the recoveries, and I am worried. We concerned about just making recoveries. We are concerned about making recoveries and also finding out who stole this money. So I think that should be made clear. It is only interested in I cannot question that, but it should be made clear. Are we just interested in recovering monies, or we are interested in recovering money and also people who stole this money. But for me, if we are really serious about fighting corruption, money is just a small aspect. For me, identifying the people who stole this money is even more important, because it is when you identify them, prosecute them, and punish them for their crime, deterring others from doing same. But if we are only going to be concentrating on recovering money, anybody can make attempts to steal money, and then it is just going to be recovered, and he is not going to be identified as the person who stole the money. To steal the money will be recovered, and he will still go free. So that's my worry, and that's why I said we need to be strengthened.
All right, so let's just hope that comes out, or that is strengthened, like you're advising. But Henry, let me also come back to you on some of the things that you talked about. He talked about the NIA and then the EFCC. I mean, there's been some form of miscommunication in between, and he's alleging that it seems to be a cover-up, which is one of the views that the state governor actually talked about yesterday. He feels that Nigerians need to know the names of those who are behind these monies that have been recovered. One, he talked about the Balogun market. He talked about the Ikoyi own. Do you think there's some form of cover-up, or it's just a propaganda, so to speak, now?
The possibility of a cover-up in high-profile cases like this. If indeed, which I am suspecting is closer to the truth than Governor Wike claiming the money belongs to Rivers State. If indeed the NIA owns the flat where the money was found, and claims the money was set aside for covert operation, then there's something wrong. The NIA is a very powerful agency, and it has the ability to actually push for a cover-up. Now, this is a question someone asked. You have a huge sum of money, $50 million in crisp cash, kept in safes inside an apartment in Ikoyi. And the approval for this was given last administration. And the president in the current administration does not know about this covert operation, about this stash of money, which is a huge sum of money. Then there's something wrong. It is either, like Deji said, it is either you are planning to use that money to overthrow the current government, or you have something else sinister you are planning, because you cannot say the president, government is a continuum. The last president approved that huge sum of money, which some people have traced from certain documents that have been made available to us in a video that I saw. And the current president, who is part of this continuum that we're talking about, does not know about this covert operation. Then there's something wrong. It is either, like some people have opined, that this money was actually put aside as part of money to fund the last election, or the NIA should be made to explain why the presidency, who have come to deny that they are not aware of the existence of that money and for what purpose it is for. So there could be a cover-up. I have noticed that when the story of this bust came out, certain people, certain faceless people tried to muddle up the whole narrative. First, a lady in NNPC was mentioned. The next day, a former governor of Rivers State was mentioned. Then the NIA came into the story. The owner of a private TV station was mentioned. So when you mix up the whole story, you confuse everybody, and you make people to begin to doubt even the intention behind. So what the EFCC needs to do is this, because this is almost, I am not a security expert, but common sense tells me that every security agency and intelligence agency in Nigeria has a route through the office of the National Security Advisor. So if a covert operation is going on, the office of the National Security Advisor definitely should know. And if the office of National Security Advisor knows, that if EFCC had found out that kind of stash, the EFCC, because of the amount and the gravity, will probably contact the Office of National Security Advisor that this is something we found. And National Security Advisor will advise accordingly. I am hearing that the NIA reached out to the EFCC to stop, not to go in and mess up their covert operation, not to embarrass them. But the EFCC refused to go because the EFCC probably has checked with the necessary authorities and have not found anything like that. So there might be a cover-up, like Deji said, more sinister. It's up to the federal government, independent body, an independent security agency, to do a thorough investigation. If it did, it was the NIA that really owns this money, then the head of the NIA should be in trouble, because your president should know about that. If it was a past president that signed, then that means it's a government activity. Government is a continuum. One president signs, the next president should know about it. If he does not know, then there's something fishy.
All right, very well. So now let's look at one of the issues he raised, Deji. Now it's looking at the cohesiveness of operations, between the security agencies. The NIA is saying this, the EFCC, and what should be done? I mean, in future, because we can't be having clashes between the security agencies, at least, even if it's for the good of the country. In cases like this, what should we be doing to eliminate such clashes?
You see, Victor, I may disagree with the views and the opinions and the stand of this government. But like I've said in the past, opposition is not about destroying the government or bringing the government down. Opposition is about, identifying where there is a problem, providing solution so that the country can advance. Opposition is about providing a better alternative. You understand? For me, the EFCC under Ibrahim Magu has done reasonably well. Do you understand? And I give it to him that, he has been able to, distinguish the name of EFCC, and the only place where Ibrahim Magu got it wrong was when he said, when he allowed the EFCC to be used, to go against some perceived political opponents. You understand? When they started talking about campaign funds. For instance, I'll give you a very simple example, Victor. People who were sitting in their houses, people like Dr. C, FFK Metu, who were sitting in their houses when somebody called them and gave them money to do a job, should not have been arrested in the first place. You cannot arrest somebody who did not know the source of the money, then leave the people who ordered the money to be given to them. So I will not even go into that. Now let's talk about this Koyi money. This is theory surrounding it. You see, it's a very simple issue. If the NIA allegedly says that the money belongs to them, we're talking about $50 million. You don't keep $50 million in a 2-bedroom apartment in that kind of a place without protection. See, in the minds of 98% of Nigerians, because this government needs to be very careful. If they are not careful, this is the end of the anti-corruption war thing. The end. Because you see, 98% of Nigerians are not fools. They know what is going on. If this government does, the President Buhari government must come out in clear terms to tell Nigerians about this money. This money, if it was taken under the former administration, they must prove it beyond reasonable doubt. If it was taken under them, they must prove it. They must sack those who took the money. See, this is so important to this government because this government is an anti-corruption government. If they do not get this Ikoyi, this $50 million Ikoyi thing right, that is the end of the anti-corruption one. And invariably, that will be the end of the government because the strength of this government is on anti-corruption. You understand? So it is so important for this government to come clean. They should not try to protect anyone whatsoever in this $50 million thing. Some people have alluded to the fact that it was one of the leaders in the APC in the Southwest who blew the alarm, who whistleblowed on this money. That because this money was kept for special operations, and that this money was from where this money that they took money to sponsor the Ondo election, and they also sponsored a candidate against the Southwest leader. So there have been so many conspiracy theories that the NSA and certain cabal in the villa were aware of the money. And that, there have been, so the government needs to come out clearly and explain that, listen, this is our finding, that this money belongs to social people. These are the people that hid the money. The NIA explanation will never work. I'm telling you, like what Henry said, the NIA is an agency that can cover up anything. You understand? We've been in government. We know how these things work. So the government must come clean. It must wash his hands off this $50 million thing if it will ever have any credibility, especially as regards to the war against corruption. It is important. For instance, look at the money that was found in Kaduna Airport. Till today, there's no owner. EFCC is silent on these issues. These are some of the issues that will bring the credibility of Ibrahim Magu and the EFCC to disrepute. So the government must come from the day the raid was done. I've seen a video about the raid. The EFCC has not issued a statement about the raid. I have asked the EFCC several questions even on social media about the money that was discovered in Kaduna Airport. There are CCTV cameras there. There are so many things. You don't just come and say you recovered monies. These monies must have owners. There's a procedure. If not, the EFCC is rubbishing the anti-corruption war and the fight against corruption. So the EFCC must come clean. The federal government must come clean. President Buhari must take this as a personal thing to vindicate his government from any insinuations or conspiracies against this $50 million.
All right.
Victor, it is so important that this government must clear itself, from all these issues surrounding this money.
Let's wait and see if that actually happens. Abu, let me come to you. I was actually looking at some of your tweets at the moment. There was one you said, "Well, I fully support." Are you there, Abu?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay, no, I was talking to Abu Sadiq.
I'm here.
Okay, very well. So yeah, I was looking at some of your tweets. You were like, "While you fully support the recoveries made by the EFCC, the urge to rush to the media when there are still issues to be cleared, is not a good one." What did you mean exactly by that statement?
Come again, please. What do I mean exactly by?
Okay, you said the urge to rush to the media when there are still issues to be cleared is not a good one.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was trying to get you to explain further what you meant by that not being a good one.
It's not a good one because that act has thrown up. The EFCC was so quick to the media that it has made these recoveries before. These recoveries, this process should not just be about recovering money. It should also be about owner of the money. Come to tell us you have recovered money. Several days after, the owner of this money is. If because of the investigation. But why do you have to come out so amount of money included investigation? Some people will say because if they don't do that, people will also read another meaning to it. Fine, I also agree. But it's also compulsory that raid very day it was carried out, intelligence that there's something like this in that apartment, heighten surveillance in that place and carry out the investigation. What is important is that money is there. If they put up their surveillance very well, nothing is going to move from that apartment. Conclude, they can always come back to that money. Raided the apartment, got out the money, but we don't know who the owner of the money is. I will not join. I will not join in agreeing with some of the stories that have been flying around. As of today, it is the only one person has laid claim to that money, which is the River State government. Even though I do not see any reason why refund the money, because ordered a temporary forfeiture of the fund to the federal government, and has given a timeline for whoever claims to be the owner of the money to come forward and prove ownership of the money. The government to do is to go to the court and prove that the money belongs to the River State government, rather than the media hype or whatever that is in. But aside that, the NIA angle and whatever angle that has been thrown around, no official position has been made. Make any official position. The EFCC has not made any official position. Ownership of the money is concerned, and that is where I put the blame. EFCC. Several days after, we have no official from the EFCC on the owner of the money, despite the fact that we have had different claims, different controversies. I think by now, the EFCC should have come out to say, this is, give us details of the recoveries from when they stormed the house, or probably even before they stormed the house, because I believe they got should have given them maybe the owner of the money and whatever. But all the stories of NIA claim ownership of the money, president, they didn't brief the president. They are all, we need official position, and the right person to do that at this time is the EFCC. And so long as they are not doing this, they leave a lot of room for questions.
All right. Don't you think this information could jeopardize their investigations?
Well, if the information that the money is outside is in the public, what other information would there be that would jeopardize the investigation? Well, I'm not a security expert, but I would have thought that rushing to raid the apartment when there are still issues to be cleared, and then whatever it is that they need to find out, they do that before they raid the apartment and come to tell the public. But now you've told the public that you have made so amount of discoveries, and then there've been claims and counter claims as to the ownership of the money, and you cannot come out to tell us this is the real owner of the money.
Well, we're losing Abu, but hopefully in not too a longer time he would come back. But Henry, let me come back to you. Talking about jeopardy. He says if the information that the money is out there, what other information would jeopardize this investigation? But however, let's look at like I was saying earlier, how the security agencies can work together, to actually stem this tide. What should we be doing?
I would like to disagree with a lot of what Abu has said. It's almost like, from things I have seen around, it's almost like a standard procedure. When you make that kind of bust, you announce that bust. Every other thing that happens after that is, and every other thing that happens after that is filed under investigation. Because when you don't make the announcement that you found this, then you are leaving room for cover up. Because when you say, oh, we found this place, you go tell some powerful agency and they know about it, and that is where it ends. So I support announcing this is what you have found, then the issue of finding who the owner of the money is comes under investigation. You would now investigate what you have found and tell us who owns the money. Now, going back to the issue of how security and intelligence agencies should work. Yeah, most of the time they work seamlessly, because we don't normally hear that the DSS and the EFCC met in a compound and a brawl ensued where they started fighting each other. We don't hear that the NIA and maybe the DIA met somewhere in New York over some kind of investigation and an argument ensued. So this is like one of the first ones we have heard. And this is why I suspect, and this is me saying this as a personal opinion, this is why I suspect that a certain security agency is going on its own with whatever is happening here. That is why the other hand does not know, the right hand does not know what the left hand is doing. Because if it was an official assignment, which the president and the Office of the National Security Advisor know about, we probably would not have this misunderstanding. But then, like Abu said, the angle of the NIA is still a matter of conjecture. Until the EFCC comes out to tell us that, yes, the NIA or certain people in the NIA know about this money, then we can begin to talk about, oh, the security and intelligence agency is not working in unison. For now, we don't know. The only person who has come out openly, even though laughably so, to lay claims to this money is the governor of Rivers State, which I still find very laughable. So until the EFCC comes out and furnishes us with information, I keep talking about the information. EFCC probably does not have enough to bring forward and say, this is what we have found. So they are keeping quiet while the rest of us laymen are running up and down, coming up with one story or the other, arguing over it, justifying positions and all of that. We don't know who owns that money. We don't know who puts that money there. And that's what we should do, is to put pressure on the EFCC to give us, even if it's a preliminary view of the investigation they're having, who they have seen, so that we can clear people's names. Certain people's names have been dragged into this. And in Nigeria, when you drag people's name into this, whether at the end of the day they are found innocent, a certain section of the country will continue to stigmatize them because of this. So we can't say if the security agencies are working together or not, because we don't even know the full story of what is happening here. So until then, we will only continue with our conspiracy theories. We only continue with our layman theories. We only continue to argue and argue.
All right,
until we get tired and move to the...
Okay, we lost you just for a minute, but before we continue, we have others watching via the YouTube stream, and yeah, a lot of comments have been coming through. For Ayodele Temitope Owolabi, okay, so he says we should understand a lot of cover-up will start since the money was recovered, and he says identifying who owns the money will not be as easy as spoken, because there are people in power, he's alleging now, and they're going to do everything to frustrate them being identified. Let's move forward. Okay, so Bello Latif says, I think it's the right time this government come out and tell Nigerians about this money. Anza Jacob is asking who is in charge of the NIA, and he's saying the person needs to come out and explain. And Stephen Omoregbe is asking if the office of the president has released any press statement since this issue actually came to the fore. But then moving forward also, let's see. Okay, Okiki Alade Shelu says, what is the execution time frame for this so-called covert operation? He's asking now. Whoever came out to claim the money is complicit of money laundering and should be prosecuted. Well, that is for the courts to decide. And Camillus Olomofe says he is hoping now Nigerians can see beyond the smoke screens that are being created by some politicians who he claims or who he alleges are trying to just put that out in the policy. But Ekebere Blessings is asking, saying he seriously doesn't understand why we are. Oh, okay, that's not too good. But he's saying that the matter is in court already, and this is the right thing to do. That whoever lays claim to the money go to court with proof. He adds that money was found and it has been temporarily forfeited to the government. What more open do you want? What more can be open? He's asking. What can be more open than this, actually? Well, let's just hold it. The comments keep coming through, and it's just distorting my line of comments. But then, so just in wrapping up now, but let me come back to you now. In wrapping up, so how would you say this government has fared in its fight against corruption? In wrapping up, as quickly as you can.
They are leaving us a lot of room for improvement, but they have largely done well.
I didn't get you. Can you come again, please?
I said the government has done well in the fight against corruption. The EFCC prosecuting the fight, but there are a lot of rooms, especially from the experience that we have gathered from development.
All right, very well. Deji, in your own estimation, to what extent would you say, quickly, rounding up?
Victor, for me, I think by and large, the EFCC has done well. The government invariably has done well in the fight against corruption, and just that this issue of the $50 million, is capable of destroying everything that the government has done. Any attempt not to prosecute whoever is involved in this, and any attempt to try and fool Nigerians that this money belongs to the NIA, it will not fly. Because what kind of operation would the NIA need $50 million for in a 2-bedroom apartment? You understand? So this issue of this Ikoyi apartment money, it is too important for the Buhari government to trivialize it or to think that this issue can go away. This issue will never go away. This issue, is going to determine whether the corruption fight of this government succeeds or fails. So for me, I think this is justice. Again, for the EFCC, the EFCC needs to come open and tell us how much money have they recovered. You understand? In fact, my organization is writing to the EFCC tomorrow. We are doing an FOI request. We want to know the properties, the assets, the funds that have been recovered since this administration took over. We want to have a list. Where are the assets? Because there are already reports that some jewelries are missing in EFCC custody. So some of these things are the things that might dent the corruption, fight. But by and large, I think the government has done well.
Thank you very much, Deji Adeyanju, for coming as well. Henry, also let's get yours before we wrap up.
Okay. The anti-corruption war has largely been fought without the adequate support needed from the National Assembly. The courts are then left at the mercy of corrupt people who have so much money and can hire lawyers who know their way through the loopholes in the legal system. And under a democracy, you cannot fight issues in court without going with the rule of law. So it would have been nice if the National Assembly is really supporting this anti-corruption fight. We have bills, we have executive bills in the National Assembly along these lines, which are moving ever so slowly. Like a lot of people have said, and which I agree with, we need special anti-corruption tribunals. The EFCC should get its own court, its own tribunal, like the Code of Conduct Bureau. It will help a lot in pushing this anti-corruption fight along if the National Assembly would do its bit to show more support to this and strengthen the legal system to be able to tackle rich, corrupt individuals who have access to superhero lawyers who can navigate the legal systems, who can game the loopholes in the legal system and get them scot-free. So in closing, I would appeal to the National Assembly to show more support for this particular fight, which I believe is a righteous fight. At the end of the day, it helps all of us, not just the government, but more the people of Nigeria who will now believe more in their government and believe the government is out there to make their lots better.
Victor,
thank you.
Victor, I have to do a quick reply to Henry. You see, what he has said about bills before the National Assembly, you know, there's a bill before the National Assembly that is an anti-people's bill. And that bill is aimed at, you know, infringing on people's liberty and rights. That cannot be an anti-corruption bill. Even in the fight against corruption, we must respect the rule of law. This is one of the problems I have with this government, that the government always appears to be a lawless one. A government that does not respect the letters and the meanings and the words of the Constitution. Because when you send a bill to the National Assembly, and that bill seeks to say that if somebody comes to me to buy tomato, I must investigate the source of his money. This is the main issue that I have with Magu. Going after people that do not know the source of the money that they got to do a job. And you leave those who give them the money. If you have an issue with somebody who stole government money, you should arrest the person. And because I cannot be selling, you know, something in the market, or I am Dr. C, Raymond Dr. C, I'm AIT, I'm offering services. The federal government used my television station for adverts. They paid for it. You are not saying I looted Nigerian money. How does that make any sense? You understand? So yes, we support the fight against corruption, but we cannot take away the rights of the people. You understand? With some of these bills that they sent to the National Assembly, we kick against them.
All right, we have to go now. Thanks though for your reply. Henry, I wish I could give you a chance to reply, but then we're really out of time. But thank you for coming on the program. Dejade and you joined us from Abuja. Henry Okelue also from Abuja. Thank you for joining us. And Abubakar Sadiq Usman, who also joined us from Abuja. Yeah, show seems to have come from Abuja, all three. But then thanks again for joining us on this edition of the program. We're looking at the fight against corruption. Thank you to all of you who also watched on the YouTube stream and also sent your comments. But that's why we have to wrap it up at this moment. It's a Google Plus Hangout for Channels Beam, and I'm Victor Matthias.